frequently women are told it's just your age, or they're told this is just a normal process. You just have to grin and bear and get through it. Or, this is just normal. There's nothing wrong with you. But we know that this is not normal.
Behind the practice.
Welcome back to this week's episode of Behind the Practice. I'm Katie Brinkley, and today I'm sitting down with Dr. Deb Matthews. Thank you so much for joining me on the show today.
It's great to be here.
Yeah, and it's been an amazing event so far. We're here at the Boston Longevity event, and I've gotten to talk to some incredible people. And I was actually looking, when I saw that you were coming up, I was doing a little bit of research, and I was like, oh man, this is going to be a fun conversation because you have a background in traditional medicine, and you made the switch. Yeah. So talk to us about that.
Yeah. I actually used to be a pediatrician. And in my own personal life, I was really struggling. I was tired all the time. Napping was my favorite hobby.
Oh man, that kind of sounds good right now.
I was cold all the time. I used to carry a sweater with me, even in the summer in North Carolina, because the air-conditioned restaurants and movie theaters would just make me shiver. And I developed panic attacks for no reason. I'd wake up in the middle of the night. Nothing was going on that would make me be anxious. But yet I was waking up with these panic attacks. I was screaming at my kids for no reason. And my poor husband is the one that had to put up with my Wicked Witch of the West impersonations, and he didn't know what to do with me. And I didn't understand what was happening to me either, because nothing in my medical training helped to explain what was going on. I knew that how I was feeling was not normal, but it was so confusing. And what changed for me is my husband one day came across a book. It was a book about women's hormones, and it was written by Suzanne Summers. She was this TV sitcom, from the 70s in Three's Company. And the book was called The Sexy Years. And he brought this book home to me, and I was so offended, if I'm honest, because medical doctors don't want to get our information from Chrissy, from Three's Company. We want to get it not from celebrities, but I knew that what I was going through was not normal, and I knew that we had to do something. And so I read the book, and that book changed my whole life, because when I read the stories in the book about women who felt just like me, and then how much better they felt when they got their hormones balanced, it really allowed me to open my mind and to understand that my hormones were causing the problem. And once I got my hormones back in balance, I got my energy back, my kids got their mom back, my husband got his wife back, and I got my life back. But I just could not go back to the old way of practicing medicine where we just write a prescription for everything. Mm-hmm. And so I completely retired and retrained. And now for almost 20 years, I've been helping men and women get their hormones back in balance so they can feel like themselves again, get back to themselves, and love the way they feel.
I love that story, because I think that a lot of times so many people just end up going to their doctor and they get written a prescription. Oh, you're depressed. Take this medication. Oh, it's anxiety. Take this medication. But you're saying that sometimes it could just be their hormones.
Yes. And the thing is, this is how we were trained in medical school, right? We are listening to your symptoms, we're looking at your lab tests, and we're trying to make a diagnosis. So we're trying to label you. Is this depression? Is this anxiety? Is it constipation, high blood pressure, whatever it is? And then the next logical step that we're taught to do is to look up in our little book, what's the best pill for this or the best surgery for this? But the reality is, a lot of times those medicines are kind of just putting a Band-Aid on the symptom. They're not really getting us well, right? If you don't take your blood pressure pill today, your blood pressure will just go right back up again. So we're not really making people truly all the way well. We're kind of just doing symptom control. And the reality is, if we can get to the root cause of why you're feeling this way, then we can address that root problem and we can get you better, so that a lot of times women don't need the sleeping pill, the antidepressant, the anxiety pill, etc.
So do you see it more in women in midlife, or where have you really noticed that the hormone imbalance spikes it, rears its ugly head?
Yeah. Well, women can have hormone imbalances really at any age, anytime after puberty, but anytime after 35, is when we start this tippy toe towards menopause. So when I was going through my symptoms, I was in my late 30s. And when you are in your 30s, menopause is like literally the last thing that you're thinking about, right?
Yeah.
So it didn't even occur to me that these symptoms had anything at all to do with hormones. But the reality is, once we're in our mid-30s, our hormones are starting to shift, and we enter into this phase of life we call perimenopause, which just means, the time before menopause. And menopause is just 1 year after your last period.
Yes, beginning.
But perimenopause is kind of like puberty in reverse. There's no definitive starting place. It can last for 5 years, 10 years, even as long as 15 years.
Oh, man.
And the symptoms are not always obvious. So if women are having hot flashes, they kind of have a clue that, probably this is something to do with menopause or something to do with my hormones. Or if their periods are changing, they probably know that could have something to do with their hormones. But if you're just feeling irritable, if you're feeling more anxious, if you're not sleeping, women will wake up at 2 o'clock in the morning and they're just staring at the ceiling, running through the grocery list or all the things they need to do the next day. It's really hard to put 2 and 2 together and even realize, oh my gosh, it's my hormones. And if you don't realize, then how are you ever going to find the right solutions?
Do you find that it is common in women who might have just recently had children? Is that what kind of can start the hormones getting out of whack?
Yeah,
Or
it can. So when we are pregnant, our hormones completely transform, right? That's in order to support the pregnancy. And when we give birth, the hormones overnight, not even overnight, like delivery, right? Our hormones change. And then it can take many months for things to get back to normal again. And depending on how old you are when you are giving birth, if you are, 21 and you give birth, your hormones are probably going to go back to normal afterwards. But if you're 35 when you give birth, they may not just all of a sudden bounce back to where they were, and symptoms can start to crop up. So it is not uncommon for women to come in and say, ever since my last baby was born, I just haven't really quite felt like myself.
Well, I love that you brought up normal. And I think that that's one of the things where a lot of women will say, like, I just don't feel normal anymore. And this must be my new normal of, well, I guess I just don't sleep through the night anymore. I guess I just, am irritable. Or I guess this is just my new normal. So let's talk about that a little bit. So how does the normalcy of what women define as normal, how do you help them realize that they can go back to and feeling the way that they did when they were in their 20s?
The most common thing that I hear women say when they come in to see me is, I just don't feel like myself anymore. This isn't me. One of my patients said, I just want Lori back. And it is something that creeps up on us. It is something that is hard to sort of define. And so therefore women are left to, and let's be truthful, women will go to their doctor to complain, right? And we walk in the door, we're hoping for hope and answers, but usually what we get is just the prescription for the antidepressants or whatever. Frequently women are told it's just your age, or they're told this is just a normal process. You just have to grin and bear and get through it. Or, this is just normal. There's nothing wrong with you. But we know that this is not normal. And in fact, I wrote a book about this, and the title of the book is This Is Not Normal, A Busy Woman's Guide to Symptoms of Hormone Imbalance. And I wrote the book because it is hard to know sometimes if how you're feeling is because of your hormones or something completely different. And the book has a lot of checklists and things where you can go through and sort of look at symptoms of low progesterone or low estrogen or whatever in order to help determine, is it your hormones? And if so, which of the hormones might be out of whack? And then what can you do to start getting your hormones back in balance? But it is very confusing for women. And a really big clue that can be helpful is for women who are still having their cycle. If they feel a lot worse the week before their period, and then they feel a lot better the week after their period, that's a really big clue that the symptoms are hormonally related. And what tends to happen as we're getting into this perimenopausal time in our life is PMS symptoms can get worse. They can last longer. We can have menstrual changes of any kind, heavier periods, lighter periods, closer together periods, farther apart periods. But for some women, they used to have PMS that lasted like the day before their period, and then it stretches to 3 days, and then 7 days, and then 10 days, and then 2 weeks, and then they get like 1 good week a month, and the whole rest of the time they're not feeling great. So things to watch for are poor quality of sleep, like waking up in the middle of the night. That's worse before your period and better after your period. A lot of women will have night sweats. Tends to be before your period. Those night sweats are worse. After your period, they often melt away. So if you notice anything that's worse before your period and better after your period is probably hormonally related.
You probably get a lot of people that come to you because of your background in traditional medicine. You've studied through Western medicine. You understand a lot of what their doctors are prescribing them. And then you have an alternative. So let's talk about what that alternative is.
Yeah. So for women who are going through perimenopause and menopause, the hormones are shifting. And there is a lot that we can do to what we're really trying to do is bring hormones back into balance. Just bring them back into normal ranges so that you feel your best. There are things that we can do with lifestyle changes. So stress is a huge cause of hormone imbalances for women. And this is another case where stress causes so many symptoms and so many problems for women. And we go to the doctor and we're just told, oh, it's just stress, as though like there's nothing to be done about it. And then it lands back on us. Now, one more thing we have to deal with is we have to de-stress ourselves somehow. But there are ways that we can help balance the effects of stress on the body to protect ourselves from the harmful effects of stress. But when we're stressed, cortisol goes up. That's our stress hormone. And cortisol shuts down a lot of our other hormones. It makes your thyroid not work as well. Progesterone gets shut down. Testosterone gets shut down. And testosterone is important for women too. It causes problems with insulin, which is the fat-storing hormone, so now we gain more weight. So stress is a really big deal, and the more that we can do to help with stress, with lifestyle changes, nutritional supplements, and other things, we can make hormones better. We need to fuel our body with healthy nutrition because the nutrition has the nutrients we need to be able to make our hormones. We need to be getting enough sleep, and if only we could just sleep through the night, wouldn't that be awesome? But when we've done all of those things, the next step is we can use bioidentical hormones. And these are hormones that are an exact match for the hormones our body used to make. So they're not the same thing as the synthetic man-made chemicals that mimic hormones that we used to use for hormone therapy. Birth control pills are synthetic man-made chemicals that are never found in a woman's body. They aren't true hormones. They're chemicals that mimic our hormones. But bioidentical hormones are the real deal. They're what our bodies naturally made. And so if our ovaries are no longer making what we need, we can supplement just the way if our vitamin D is low, we can supplement with vitamin D.
Why that?
So I think of hormone therapy as something that is really important for how we feel. It's sort of like reading glasses. All women, if you're lucky enough to live long enough, you're going to go through menopause. But for most of us, when we kind of cross 40, our vision changes. And now we have to hold the paper a little farther away to be able to read it. And you go to the eye doctor, and the eye doctor says, yes, this is a normal part of aging, but here's your reading glasses so that you can keep reading and be a productive member of society. We don't say, yes, this is a normal part of aging. Sorry, can't read anymore. I guess you just got to retire and rock on a rocking chair. So hormone therapy is kind of the same way. And there's more education and more awareness happening around menopause. And in corporate America, they're starting to have menopause programs to kind of help women that are going through menopause to be more understanding, which is nice. But some of the things that they're doing is they're having a space where women can go to take a nap if they need one. And I feel like that's ridiculous. If we just balance their hormones, then they can keep on running the company and they don't need a nap.
Yeah, a nap space. That's insane. I think that I love that you talked about too with the reading glasses analogy, because I just turned 42 and I've had perfect vision, and I do now need glasses whenever I'm on the computer. But I didn't go into it thinking like, all right, well, if I get put on these glasses, now everything's gonna be fixed. They're fixed while I'm while I'm wearing them. It's part of a long-term journey, and that's how hormone therapy is as well. It's a long-term wellness journey. So just talk us through that a little bit. It's not like we're going to go and you'll have a magic vitamin and everything's going to be perfect.
Yeah, there's no magic pill. I think what a lot of women expect is that when they're going through menopause, they're going to have a period of time when they're going through menopause. They're going to have some hot flashes probably. It's going to last for some months, hopefully not much longer than that. And then they'll be through it and they'll be out on the other side of menopause and it's over. But that's not how it works, because you're menopausal the whole rest of your life. And a lot of these symptoms, like the hot flashes do tend to go away, sometimes in a few months, sometimes it can be many, many years. But the rest of it just gets worse. So our bones thin, our brain is literally shrinking, our skin ages, we get drier. So dry eyes, dry skin, dry hair, dry vagina. We develop heart disease, dementia. So all of these things are just progressive. But if we replenish our hormones, we can help minimize the extent of aging. Estrogen is an antidepressant for women. It's an antioxidant. It's anti-inflammatory. It's good for our heart, our bone, our brain, skin health, urinary tract health, helps to prevent urinary tract infections, painful sex. So in urinary leakage, progesterone is naturally calming. It helps us sleep through the night. It's an anti-anxiety. It helps our thyroid work better. It's breast protective, helps keep scalp hair growing on our head. And testosterone is important for women too. Testosterone is like the CEO hormone. It's our confidence, decisiveness, get up and go, get things accomplished. And if testosterone goes down, we just tend to feel kind of flat, kind of blah. Like we put one foot in front of the other.
It's a medical term, by the way, feeling a little blah.
Yeah.
So I'm glad that...
Which everybody understands,
yes.
Right? But you kind of go through the motions. And if it must happen today, if you have to put food on the table for your family, you'll make it happen. But if it doesn't really have to be today, a lot of times we'll just kind of procrastinate. Like we just kind of say, we just don't really feel it. So these hormones make a really big difference in how we feel. And they are very safe. There were a lot of fears with hormone replacement therapy and breast cancer. It's been debunked. That's a myth. Hormones do not cause breast cancer. We know how to do hormones in a safe way. We have lots of options for how we can do these hormones. We want the natural form of the hormones, not the drugs. There's no need to be afraid of hormone therapy.
So as we wrap up today's episode, I love all of the conversation that we've had. And I love the fact that I keep on going back to this, that you've been in traditional medicine and you made the switch to integrative and functional medicine. If anyone else is listening right now, maybe they are a traditional medicine practitioner and they're a little they're like, well, I do feel like there has to be other answers, but everything that I've learned, that I've gone to school for, that I've been trained for, it says that this is not the way. What would you say to them?
This is so much more rewarding. We can actually get our patients well. We don't have to just do damage control with writing the prescriptions all the time. It is scary to sort of step outside of the box and learn new things, but it's so, so rewarding. And actually, in my practice now, I have a whole team of practitioners that work with me. And I don't have to be the only one in the practice to see the patient, and that allows me to step outside of what I do. And now I spend actually more of my time training other practitioners. So training other practitioners clinically how to prescribe bioidentical hormones, and also the business end of having our own practice, because that's, Lord knows they don't teach us anything about that in medical school. But it is scary to do things in a different way, but it is so, so worth it. And you're smart, you can learn, you can do it, and it's so worthwhile. And your patients want this. Nobody wants to just be on prescription medicine, because then you get the first ones, and then you get the side effects. You got to get the new pill for the side effect. It just, we see these patients, they're on so many drugs. Nobody knows what happens when we mix all those drugs together.
Yeah.
There's new studies.
I always think of Heath Ledger, but yeah.
This is just a better way to practice medicine.
I completely agree. So let's just hop in the time machine real fast as we wrap up today's episode. If you can envision healthcare 10 years from now, what does it look like?
I already can see a big difference. So almost 20 years ago, when I started practicing this way, I have patients whose gynecologists would literally fire them from the practice because they were on hormone therapy. Now the FDA has lifted the black box warning on estrogen, so we're no longer scaring everybody that estrogen causes breast cancer because we know that it does not. So I can already see tremendous changes from 10 years ago. 10 years into the future, I believe that doctors are going to be more open-minded about the use of nutrition, lifestyle medicine, nutritional supplements, hormone therapy. It's just that these are all things that they weren't trained at medical school. And because our medical schools are still very influenced through the filter of pharmaceutical funding, I'm not sure how fast medical school will change, but because of conferences like this, there are so many ways that doctors are able to get this information and get this education and help their patients in a better way. And more doctors are doing this. It's super exciting. And I feel like the more of us that are practicing medicine this way, the more we're able to shift what is considered the standard of care in medicine towards a more functional root cause approach.
Oh, I love that so much. Well, Deb, this has been an incredible conversation. If anyone listening is in the North Carolina area or wants to get in touch with you, they want to learn more about you, they have questions, what's the best way for people to get in touch with you?
Yeah, so our website is signaturewellness.org. And I am on Instagram and Facebook at Dr. Deb Matthews. 2 T's, no S.
2 T's, no S. Well, Dr. Deb, thank you so much again for joining me on Behind the Practice.
Thanks for having me.
Yes. Behind the Practice is produced by Next Step Social and Podcasting and hosted by Katie Brinkley and Sean Quintero. A special thank you to our guests today. This episode was recorded live at the Boston Biolife Functional Longevity Summit. A special thank you to the team that helped make this podcast happen.